right, let's go ahead and get to the next dono. This next video dono was requested by Monkey's uncle. Cheers to Monkey's uncle. Good to see you. And by the way, he paid 10 beers for this. And he wanted me to watch a little bit of this Mouthy Buddha video, which is supposed to be about Trump and DeSantis. So we're going to watch a little bit of this, and he wanted me to get a metal song going on. So let's see what the hell Monkey's uncle's got in store for us here. I'm anxious to see what the hell this is. Put the PC shot on. Monkey's uncle's video.
Speaking about announcing his run for the 2024 election, it's more relevant than ever to discuss all the foreseeable and unforeseeable ramifications of potentially having Trump as president for another 4 years.
And the rumor mill over whether former President Donald Trump will launch a new bid for the White House is hitting overdrive because Trump insiders say that a decision could come as soon as this summer. Advisors say he is growing bored with being just a Republican kingmaker and is itching to get back into the political arena as a candidate.
I've come to understand that there's definitely a split in my audience regarding Trump. Many either like him, even quasi-deifying him, and the other either turned off by him, or they think that Trump is, just part of the corrupted aspects.
He's been compromised. He's been compromised.
I myself don't care for the
He's been
character
compromised.
of Donald Trump. He's filled with defects that are almost always off-putting to me. But I'd be lying if I were to say that I disagreed with all of his policy implementations.
Yeah, but hey, Mouthy Buddha, pause this. Listen. This is where these people in the chat room that say I backstabbed Trump and all this other shit, they're too fucking simple and idiotic to understand that 2016 Trump was a man that was selling ideas. Okay? Let's renegotiate the trade deals. I was advocating that back in 2010, 2011. I never thought I'd ever see a president renegotiate trade deals. All right? Bringing back manufacturing back to America. Remember when Obama said, how is he going to do that? What magic wand is he going to wave to bring those jobs back? Those jobs are gone. Bullshit. He brought it back. He brought manufacturing back to America. All right? He lowered taxes. All right? Which has made this country prosperous, believe it or not. He also got rid of the Obamacare mandate, which, believe it or not, prior to that, you couldn't even get a job full-time because under Obamacare, the employer had to pay for the employee's health insurance. And the health insurance cost many times more than the person's labor. So people, prior to Trump removing the Obamacare mandate, had to actually juggle around like 2 or 3 part-time jobs. Because the employers, and I remember this, I was doing it, we didn't want to pay for the health insurance of our employees. I mean, the health insurance costs more than their wages. So why the fuck would we do that? Anyway, we would have gotten rid of all of Obamacare if it wasn't for John Turncoat McCain being the sole vote to keep Obamacare. Fuck you, McCain. I hope that you're getting anal raped by Satan's pitchfork in hell, you fucking charlatan. All right, play the rest of this. Sorry, Monkey's uncle. I just wanted to make that point.
The worst personality in the world, but his stance against NATO, even if it was only rhetorical, was a good thing. When Trump ended U.S. relations with the World Health Organization, blaming China.
Now, that's another thing that I was in complete agreement with Trump. He was like, fuck the United Nations, fuck the World Health Organization, and, put NATO on a hypocritical fucking spotlight, showing that, hey, America's the one funding all this shit. Time for you to fund this shit if you want us to continue funding this shit. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This man was an idealist when he came in 2016. Even known leftist Julian Assange backed up this man by releasing information on the Democrats, which people seem to have forgotten, by the way. And this was a different man. Remember, he used to call out globalists by name. He used to use the term globalist. That was until COVID-19. Actually, I think it's a little bit before that. When Jeffrey Epstein got arrested and killed in his jail cell, that's when you had Trump saying and singing another tune. He didn't say the word globalist again. He wasn't as boisterous. He wasn't as cocky. He wasn't. I mean, he was a different guy. He was a completely different guy.
Coronavirus. going so far as to call it the China virus. That was also a very good thing. Just listen to this excerpt of the following speech from Donald Trump and ask yourself if Joe Biden, who seems to be totally bought and paid for by China, would come to saying anything remotely close to this.
I'm here today to talk about our relationship with China. China's pattern of misconduct is well known. For decades, they've ripped off the United States. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year were lost dealing with China. China raided our factories, offshored our jobs, gutted our industries, stole our...
I completely agree with this. I mean, I never thought I'd ever see a president do this. He stopped doing this. Remember, I just showed you a clip where he praised China during the COVID-19 situation. I just showed you a candidate that this guy is supporting, Oz, Dr. Oz, who praised and said the United States should have used China as a model. All right? So that's a vast contrast, dude. I'm just saying, how can you go from fucking China, you're fucking ripping us off, we want to renegotiate our trade deals, you have robbed us, all this other shit, to be like, you know what, China's doing great. What they're doing out there in COVID is great. Get the fuck out of here.
Intellectual property, and violated their commitments under the World Trade Organization. To make matters worse, they are considered a developing nation, getting all sorts of benefits that others, including the United States, are not entitled to.
Sometimes I feel that those who are now on the DeSantis train, the Florida governor, have a collective amnesia toward these kinds of speeches and the kinds of policy decisions Trump was able to make.
Hey, Mouthy Buddha, he's not standing for that anymore, dude. We don't know what Trump stands for other than the fact of my elections were rigged, and that's about it. All right? The border, I mean, he's still doing the border situation, which I agree with, but, dude, I mean, what is he standing for? I mean, in his silly-ass rallies, he's just shit-talking people that are supposedly against him. He's not even talking about these things anymore. Jesus fucking Christ. Meanwhile, DeSantis, we just fucking heard, thanks to Chino who donated, we know today that he passed legislation giving a 5-year review for tenured professors. And if they so-called do something bad or they don't live up to their expectations, they get to be fired. All right, DeSantis is now, he's making policy on a state level. And these are radical policies. It's so radical that they're taking national spotlight. You know, the Don't Say Gay bill. You know, the fucking anti-woke bill. Firing of the goddamn attorney general because he wouldn't prosecute crimes. I mean, all this shit. This guy is creating policy that I believe that he could put in as federal mandated policies. Like, I would love to see the Don't Say Gay bill on a federal policy. You know, I would love to see all this anti-woke legislation on a federal policy. I would love to see tenured professors that are taking public funds have a 5-year review to see whether or not they're worth the shit. I mean, these are the kinds of issues that I think that DeSantis is making into reality on a state level that he can make into a reality on a federal level.
While I do like DeSantis, I worry his influence is a net negative to a once unified conservative party. Without DeSantis, the right wing remains relatively unified and strong. With DeSantis,
dude, what are you talking about, unified and strong? What are you talking about? We've been splintered ever since the whole January 6th nonsense. All right? And if you take a look at the January 6th commission testimony of everyone who worked around Trump, I mean, it looked as if Trump was willing to do whatever it takes to stay in power. I mean, even Steve Bannon said before the election even happened that Trump was going to claim the winner no matter what. He was going to claim himself the winner, no matter what the election results were. So that's not good, dude.
It becomes fractured into two camps, which is what we have now. This is a problem, and among the many reasons I wish DeSantis would not run in 2024.
What the fuck are you talking about? Are you smoking crack? We're gonna lose the 2022 elections because of Trump. Are you smoking crack, Mouthy Buddha? I mean, give me a break.
Tariffs on China, for example, the way Trump did. Or will stand up to China in any way, as
We're,
Trump
dude, hey,
Once
Mouthy
again,
Buddha,
to
are you
refresh
even
every-
paying attention to fucking foreign policy? We're standing up to China right now, you fucking idiot. I mean, why do you think Nancy Pelosi went over there and was like, the Chinese are not going to do nothing? They did nothing. Remember, they're like, we're going to shut down Nancy Pelosi plane and come over here to Taiwan. Did nothing. Did nothing. I mean, here you've got fucking Biden thumbing their nose at China. I'm telling you, we are begging China at this point to invade Taiwan, just like we begged Russia to invade Ukraine. They are going to bankrupt themselves. They are going to diminish themselves as superpowers. I don't understand what this idiot's talking about.
everyone's memory, take a look at this clip at the UN from President Trump.
The United States lost over 3 million manufacturing jobs, nearly a quarter of all steel jobs. And we have racked up $13 trillion in trade deficits over the last 2 decades. But those days are over. We will no longer tolerate such abuse. We will not allow our workers to be victimized, our companies to be cheated, and our wealth to be plundered and
you know
transferred.
what? I agree with this. I completely agree with this. Unfortunately, Trump, he kind of brought back manufacturing, brought back jobs to America. Guess what? Fucking people don't want to work, Trump. They don't want to fucking work. All right, I'm on the front lines out here when it comes to employing people, and these fuckers don't want to work. You want to know why I took off on Sunday and didn't do a fucking show? Because I had to go and fucking deal with these fucking stupid shithead employees that I have that, dude, I can't even fire these fucking people. I mean, I got employees that are like, man, I ain't showing up, man. I'm only going to come in Monday through Friday. I'm taking the weekend off, baby. You know what I'm saying? I ain't coming in. I'm just going to come Monday, Friday. And what am I supposed to do? I got to be like, okay, because there's nobody out there in the employment market worth the fucking shit. And another thing, what I don't like also, I'll tell you what I don't like, okay? This emotionalism by employees bringing their fucking problems to work. I've had to deal with like 2 or 3 fucking employees and their fucking stupid shithead problems at the fucking workplace. I mean, I had one guy who went into the fucking bathroom breaking down because his wife, or I don't think it was his wife, I think it was like a fiance left him or some shit, and I had to fucking go down there, and this fucking guy wouldn't come out the fucking bathroom and shit, and I was like, hey, what's going on? He's fucking crying, a fucking girl left me, man, I can't work, I can't do all this fucking shit, right? And I'm like, hey, man, look, you can't bring that shit to the fucking workplace, dude. I mean, you got to show that you got balls and shit. You can't be crying in a fucking bathroom and shit. And he goes, dude, I swear to God, he looks at me, he goes, sir, she said that she left me because the other guy's thing was bigger. And I mean, oh, shit. I said, oh, you mean to tell me that she told you that the reason why she left you was because, she found somebody with a bigger, thing? And that's when I was like, all right, well, I fucking sent the dude home. And the people that were there that were concerned had to do had to pick up his slack and shit. So anyway, the next time I saw this kid, I wouldn't call him a kid, but he's in his late 20s, all right? He finally comes back to work and he's finally okay, everything's all right? Not even like a few days later, one of the females that works in this venture that I have comes to work and has the same scenario in which there's some domestic situation that has fucking flipped her out, and this bitch is like on pills or something. Like, I'm looking at the camera, so I got a manager over there, so they're calling me up. I'm looking at the camera. I got cameras everywhere, and this bitch is like pilled out. Like, she's talking with her hands, like she can't even construct a complete sentence. She's like, yeah, look, and then she's like, her hands are waving around. I mean, literally somebody who is on pills, okay? So this broad goes into the bathroom and doesn't come out for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? So what do? I gotta go down to this fucking place that I fucking own to fucking handle employees that I'm fucking paying, dude. Anyway, turns out this bitch was so depressed because her fucking man wants her to leave, and they're having financial problems because of their fucking house. This stupid bitch told me Okay, after she came to, by the way, we found her in the bathroom, passed out. So she was like, you know, I didn't go in there. She's a female and shit, so we had a female in. She was passed out, like slumped over a toilet. Okay? So they woke her up, and then I asked, what the fuck is the problem? What is this? So she breaks down how her and her husband, I don't know, I don't even think these people are, there's not too many people that are married. I'm not even kidding. I mean, they act like they're married. They make decisions like they're married. They're not even married. Anyway, they fucking bought a house about 5 or 6 months ago, okay? And this is during the prime of the real estate market. She was telling me that they tried to buy 2 or 3 houses, got outbid, etc. So they decided that they were going to take this one house, and even though the inspection showed that there was a lot of problems like foundation and the fucking roof and, you know, all this shit, she's like, no, yeah, we got rejected the last time. We're going to take whatever we can get. So they get the house, right? All of a sudden, it's the money pit. You know, tiles start fucking lifting up off the floor. The fucking roof is fucking leaking like a son of a bitch. The toilet goes out, for fuck's sake. They gotta fucking fix that. So all this shit is fucking happening, and the fucking husband is taking it out on her, fucking giving her slaps and shit because he blames her. He blames her for getting the fucked up fucking house, and now it's the money pit. So I've had to deal with that shit, dude. I'm not even fucking... I've had to deal with this shit. It's fucking pathetic, and I'm tired of it. I'm sorry. So... going back to what Trump is saying about the American worker doesn't want to work, dude. I mean, we have the work ethic.
Buy that for $1.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on, let me get to Ghost Trans-Pacific Waifu. All those stories about your worker made me come to this conclusion. Even in your real life, you're a tard magnet. Ah, fuck off, dude, all right? Fuck off. Anyway, play fucking Trump shit.
The United States has just announced tariffs on another $200 billion in Chinese-made goods, for a total so far of $250 billion. I have great respect and affection for my friend, President Xi, but I have made clear our trade imbalance is just not acceptable. China's market distortions and the way they deal cannot be tolerated.
Yeah, that was all talk. And by the way, they had signed a new trade agreement that no one's acknowledging. Does anybody remember this? Trump and everyone in January of 2020 signed a new trade agreement that is no longer, it's never been acknowledged. It's never been acknowledged. And conveniently enough, right after the signing of that trade agreement is when COVID came around. So, yeah, even though Trump said all that and sanctioned them to hell and tariffed them, China's not even fucking acknowledging that January 2020 trade agreement in which we negotiated the trade deal.
Tonight, controversy in Florida, with Governor Ron DeSantis threatening the Special Olympics with a $27 million fine over their vaccine mandate.
To go after...
You're goddamn right.
Special Olympians who... all they wanted to do is...
Unless we forget that Ron DeSantis was the only one with balls that finally said, after a month of the so-called 2-week curb to stay ahead of the curve of COVID, this guy was the only fucking one in the country that said, fuck this, I'm not gonna fucking put my goddamn state in a lockdown, I'm not gonna put any mask or vaccine mandates, and he's the only one that stood up, him and Rand Paul.
Was not consistent with Florida law, and it's not the right thing to do. Let them compete.
While in general, DeSantis says things I like to hear, he strikes me as a typical politician, similar to a Ted Cruz.
Dude, listen to me, listen. Unfortunately, that's what you have to get laws done. Okay, Mouthy Buddha? All right, it's not going to get done by Nick Fuentes or fucking Ben Shapiro or any of these fucking stupid people that are just mouthing off shit. It takes people that are actually in the realms of institutional power to be able to get this thing done, all right? Jesus fucking Christ.
Paul Ryan. He'll capitulate to his audience rather than embolden them. Consider by contrast the somewhat recent spat Trump had with DeSantis. While not officially calling him out by name, Trump took a stance that would almost certainly alienate a large portion of his followers.
The former president also took this not-so-subtle shot at DeSantis after he refused to say whether he had gotten a COVID booster shot.
I've taken it. I've had the booster. Many politicians, I watched a couple of politicians be
there's your
interviewed.
boy. There's your boy. I've taken it. I've had the booster. And look at your DeSantis doesn't want to say it. He's afraid. And trying to extort DeSantis for not fucking explaining whether he got it or not. What a fucking Pfizer salesman.
And one of the questions was, did you get the booster? Because they had the vaccine. And they're answering it like, in other words, the answer is yes, but they don't want to say it. Because they're gutless. You got to say it.
One could claim that Trump was being gutless here by not calling out DeSantis by name.
Calling him out for what? That he didn't take his fucking booster? That he's not out here promoting the vaccine? That he's fucking fining fucking the Special Olympics because they're forcing vaccinations on fucking people that don't have the right frame of mind to know what they're doing? I mean, for fuck's sake, what is fucking Mouthy Booty talking about, man?
Nonetheless, I think this clip reveals the one-track mind that is Donald Trump, and how in many instances this would almost certainly be a flaw. But at this particular time in history, and when it pertains to being the president of the US, Trump's personality and his enemies, which are my enemies, positions himself in a truly unique and strong position. That's why I plan on voting for him in 2024. And among the many reasons I chose to make this video,
man, what have
if you've given up on Trump,
become?
or you think he's part of the cabal, or you think bringing him back for a second term would make the country too much of an emotional
Dude,
and
look at us! We look like fucking kookster leftists, dude! We look like fucking kookster-ass leftists, man! It's fucking sick! It's fucking sick! Remember when the Republicans and the GOP were the party of not only ideas, but we had the moral high ground. We were mature. You know, we didn't fucking look like this. It's a fucking Comic-Con bullshit. This is leftist shit, man. God damn it, man. Fuck.
Space to live in. I would encourage you to think again. Firstly, I continue to believe that Trump's behavior is nowhere near as intense or crazy as many seem to believe. It's the media storm that surrounds him that causes so much of the chaos. For example, do you really think if DeSantis becomes president, the left-wing media machine would suddenly calm down?
No, I don't think it is. But you know the difference between DeSantis and Trump? Trump couldn't trust anybody when he appointed his fucking cabinet, when he appointed his chief of staff, when he appointed all these fucking people that were supposed to be around him advising him and shit. He couldn't trust anybody. Why? Because he wasn't a part of the system. He didn't see, there weren't other fucking people within the institution that saw him as legitimate. Okay? You've got DeSantis here who actually has put through legislation that has shocked the country, that is pure right-wing, that is ideological, okay? Ideological. And this guy could comprise a cabinet in which they'll be loyal to him, not just because of him. You see, that's the difference between DeSantis and Trump. Trump expects you to be loyal to him. DeSantis expects you to be loyal to the ideas. The ideas. And you see, this is how the Democrats, this is how they won. I mean, doesn't anybody remember that the Republicans had this type of domination over the government after 9/11? Doesn't anybody remember that shit? And after 9/11, the Democrats didn't even dare stand up to Bush or anything that he put through to Congress. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, the Patriot Act, and the creation of the Department of Homeland Security, all that shit, okay? The Democrats didn't dare even try to fucking cause an uproar at all. And the guys that did, like Bernie Sanders, which nobody gave a fuck about Bernie Sanders back then anyway, so he was insignificant, but a very prominent Democrat by the name of Paul Wellstone. I don't know if y'all remember Paul Wellstone, but Paul Wellstone was a very... he was a Democrat that was, I wouldn't say senior, but somebody who was admired within the party. Paul Wellstone was the guy, one of the only guys that talked against the Afghanistan war and the Iraq war. And guess what happened to Paul Wellstone? He ended up dead. Okay? He ended up fucking dead. And he was the only guy of any kind of political clout, any kind of political credibility that was actually talking against George W. Bush and his war endeavors, his Patriot Act, etc. He ended up dead in a plane crash. Okay? And by the way, I have a podcast of a bunch of old NTSB guys, which are guys that investigate plane crashes, in which they even say that the whole issue around the plane, the pilots, everything made no fucking sense. So that's what I'm talking about. I mean, every time there's anything that, or any party that has a political dominance, of course they're going to persecute him. Okay, fucking Paul Wellstone. Look up Paul Wellstone. He ended up dead. You know, this is what politics is about. Okay? I mean, lest we forget, let me give you an example. Y'all know the Clintons and their body count, right? You know that, the Clintons, people end up dead around them and all that shit. Anyway, in the presidency during Clinton, this guy had a commerce secretary by the name of Ron Brown. Okay? And Ron Brown was his commerce secretary, and the investigation of the independent counsel was honing in on him. And had they been had Ron Brown been able to testify and be under oath, he may have exposed the Clinton crime enterprise from the inside out. Guess what? Ron Brown also died in a plane crash. But the funny thing is that the Army examiner that studied the autopsy of Ron Brown said that Ron Brown didn't die, even though he died in a plane crash. He didn't die of a plane crash. No. According to a medical examiner, and this is the actual report, okay, from 1997, that it looks as though he died with a bullet in his head. Okay? All right, it says, medical examiner said Thursday that an autopsy should have been performed on Commerce Secretary Ron Brown. They never have an autopsy. Have you noticed that? Even after Scalia died. Remember Scalia? Justice Scalia miraculously died in 2016, with a pillow over his head. No autopsy, nothing. Anyway, after he died in a plane crash to investigate a suspicious skull wound. And it suggests that this skull wound is consistent with a shot to the head. So what I'm trying to tell you is, folks, is that these games happen. It's politics. There's a facade here, okay? And that facade has to be believed by the majority of the American people for whatever happens politically to happen. Okay? And if some people get in that way, they have to realize that they are shaking a hornet's nest and could potentially put their lives in danger. Okay? Let me give you another example. I could give you examples of this shit all night because I've been involved in politics for a long fucking time, all right? But there was a recent Indiana congresswoman. Let me go ahead and look her up. That recently died in a car crash in which they had to retract the statement. Let me see if I can find this congresswoman here. Sorry, I didn't have this a part of my presentation. But it's this woman right here, this Jackie Worlarski out of Indiana, okay? Now, they claimed at first when this woman died, she died about, 2-3 weeks ago? When she died, they claimed that the car she was riding in, for whatever reason, veered into oncoming traffic, and that's how she died. They came back 2 days later, the police retracted that and said it was the other car that went and beelined for no reason, no fucking, no brake tracks on the road, nothing, hitting this woman, killing her. This is a Republican congresswoman, and this kind of shit happens every election cycle. So for all you people that are out there, it's not fair, it's not this. Hey, politics is power, dude. All right? It only has to seem fair to the American people's majority, okay? Whatever the truth is, it doesn't really matter what the truth is. The only thing that matters is the majority of the people believe what it's true. I mean, even Hitler said, the bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. So, if the majority of the people believe it, then it's the truth, even though it isn't the truth. All right? So, welcome to Politics 101. Play it.
Yeah, right. The media will be just as hyperbolic and corrupt as they've ever been, regardless of who is in office. DeSantis has already been compared to Hitler and neo-Nazis. He's been called a racist and a white supremacist.
But you see, they've already played that song before. All right, the media's already played that song, and they can't keep playing that song too long before the people are like, all right, what, is everybody a fucking Nazi? I mean, give me a fucking break. All right, this is the difference between Trump and DeSantis. DeSantis, believe it or not, actually has the resume of somebody to be president. I think we even looked at his biography. I mean, the guy went to Yale, he went to Harvard. Right after Harvard, he joined the Navy. He became a JAG officer. He was out there serving in Fallujah, aiding the Navy SEALs and shit. All right, give me a break.
So the media will continue to be hyperbolic and insane. Trump, on the other hand, almost always demonstrated an ability to control his emotions.
What are you talking about? Control his emotions? The guy would always go off and shit talk people. That was one of his lures. What are you talking about? He would go at people's jugulars and shit. I mean, that was one of his staples. That's why he has so many fucking enemies. Do you understand? That's why. Let me show you all the fucking the litigations that Trump has. And the reason is because he went beyond the decorum of the face value of political theater, if you can understand what I just said. All right? I mean, Trump has all these fucking investigations, dude. Like, put the PC shot on. And why? It's because he was so boisterous, dude. He would shit talk people, their family, their looks. I mean, that was one of his fucking lures, dude. Look at this. Federal crime investigation into White House records removal. That's the FBI. Okay, there's the Georgia criminal investigation of Trump for interference in the state's 2020 presidential election. There's a federal crime investigation into the January 6, 2020 Capitol riot. There's a select House committee investigating the January 6 riot. There's a federal criminal investigation into efforts to overturn the presidential election on a federal level. There's the New York Attorney General civil investigation of Trump's organization's business practices. There's the Manhattan District Attorney's criminal case against Trump's organization. There's a rape defamation lawsuit by the writer E. Jean Carroll. I mean, this is a lot of fucking people coming at you on a litigation scale. And the reason was because Trump, he didn't fucking hold his cool. He would fucking tell you how it was. You know, I mean, give me a break. He stopped doing that after Epstein and COVID.
That's for sure. Especially on Twitter. But in real life, he does so without screaming or seeming as though he's even agitated.
Dude, he screams all the time at his rallies. What is this guy smoking, dude? I mean, give me a break!
A truly gifted feature, especially when you consider how outnumbered Trump was during his multiple press conferences, whereby almost all media figures in the room were salivating at the chance to attack Trump in front of the cameras. Trump dealt with each attack patiently. During the height of the coronavirus, Trump gave a press briefing every day, taking dozens of questions. Contrast this with Joe Biden, a man whose frustration...
No, that's Politics 101, dude. I mean, look, Trump went against his advisors and decided to kind of, make all these goddamn press releases and all these press junkets and came out. I mean, dude, there's a reason why the president doesn't speak that often, because you don't want to be held accountable for dumb shit that could miraculously, spontaneously arise because you're always saying shit.
Cannot help but show time and time again.
And by the way, if you think that Joe Biden's in charge, you're an idiot. It's the people that are around him that are in charge. you know, Antony Blinken, Lloyd Austin, you know, these fucking people that are truly in charge. Some of the folks that are creating his domestic policy, these fucking lesbians and fucking homosexuals around him, these are the people that are setting policy.
Great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch.
Obviously, I can show a myriad of videos of Trump cursing at people, but not while he was president, which is the crucial point.
Oh, dude, dude, who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck, dude?
This idea that
Jesus
Trump
Christ
is unhinged is absurd. Trump is completely lucid and reasonable when he speaks. He's pompous, he's braggadocious, and annoyingly concerned with many wrong and selfish and self-absorbed things. But as a matter of policy, and as a matter of being able to vocalize his intentions regarding that
all
policy,
right, dude, I can't take this.
Clear.
This is fucking cult of personality propaganda, dude. All right, dude. Regardless of what you people want to believe, it's not what you believe. It's what the majority of the people of America believe. Okay, and if the majority of the people believe it, then it's true. I don't care if you don't want to believe it. I don't care if you want to sit here and pretend it doesn't exist. That's the way it is, okay? And that's why the Democrats, when I was talking about how George Bush Jr. had the clout to pass anything, they stayed quiet. What?
You said what now, Whitey? Bend over. Daddy's gonna tear that ass up as punishment.
Yeah, all right, yeah, Lloyd Austin. Anyway, as I was stating, you know, the Democrats laid low, all right? They had ideas. They did whatever they had to do politically. They went along with George Bush Jr. And then by the mid-2000s is when they had enough leverage to be able to obtain power. And that's what happened. You know, they didn't do anything ridiculous. They didn't do anything out of the question. They stayed there and waited for their political turn to be able to turn the tides of politics. And that's exactly what happened in the mid-2000s. And you see, we should be doing that. We should be worried about making sure that we have the political tide, the political capital, and the ideas in which it'll drive people en masse to go and vote. But when you continue to relive shit that people just want to move on from, you know, I mean, especially the majority of center right, center left folks, they don't want to talk about this, you know. And this right here makes us look like the insurrectionists that they tried to paint us after January 6th. This is, we're falling hook, line, and sinker to this fucking old game, and it's sad.